theawesemo.com live before lock show. We have ourselves a sprawling 4-game MLB main slate to dig through, which will luxuriate over the course of this next hour. I'm Chris Spags, joined by my good pal, the baseball savant, Jake Hari. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing well. Just seeing when this early slate's gonna end. Looks like the Twins are in extras. But our guy Brett, our social media guy, looks like he's gonna take down the Minimax pretty convincingly. So that's pretty cool.
Good job, Brett. So yeah, go follow at Osmo_com if you want to see all the tweets that Brett helps put out along with our social media team. But good job, Brett. If it holds up, hopefully you didn't jinx him now.
He's up by 15 points on second place, and then he's like 20 plus points ahead of anyone with player innings remaining. So I think he's gonna hold on to that one.
Going to be a stat correction. They're going to take a home run away.
Yeah, that would be wild.
But hopefully not for our boy Brett. And hey, Brett uses the same tools out at Osmo.com. It's one of the perks that we have as employees here. For you guys, you get a perk as a viewer. You get half off your first month of any Osmo Plus membership. Just use that promo code live before lock right now. You can see it on the screen. Get all the ownership projections, the rankings, the regular projections, right into Fantasy Cruncher. Jake uses them. I use them. Everybody here, Brett probably used them as well for his lineups. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm pretty sure he did. Let's go check that out now. Use that promo code live before lock for half off your first month of any Osmo Plus package. All right, Jake, we got some pitchers here up top here, which we should just talk about already because this is a weird slate where we have a chalk Tyler Beede up top. Ownership's come down a little bit throughout the course of the day. He's been over half the field projected to own him at some points of the day. Now we have him at 40% on DK. Where is he on the other sites? He is probably going to be less everywhere else. Well, actually less on FanDuel for sure. 29% on FanDuel and 64% on Yahoo. So the Yahoo people, where there are no management fees, going directly to the Tyler Beede account. Jake, give me the pros of playing Tyler Beede today.
The pros of playing Tyler Beede today would just be you get a super cheap pitcher in Oracle. I think that's what they call it now. It's not AT&T anymore, right? I think it's Oracle. I'll try to remember that one. So great pitcher's park. Don't pay attention to the wind blowing out. That doesn't really matter in that stadium. It's gonna be cool weather. He does have some strikeout ability, and then like you mentioned, you mentioned before the show, no Escobar in the lineup. That maybe is a little bit of a boost. Diamondback's not a great strikeout matchup, but I would imagine that doesn't hurt the strikeout matchup. Escobar being out, so there's some things going for him. You throw in the ownership, and then you've got a real conversation as to what you're going to do. But there are certainly some negatives to playing a chalk pitcher on a short slate like this, and we can talk later now about playing some bats on the other side. I think you can make a case for pretty much every pitcher tonight outside of maybe the top two.
Yeah. Okay, so Beede, I guess the pros would be, is getting 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. So that is a good thing. It's a reason why. I mean, I think we've talked about him on the shows. Adam's talked about him on the deeper dive before. I've mentioned Tyler Beede on the four corners because I generally like him when he's a low-owned play. He's got big strikeout upside. He just gives up a ton of walks and hits. So the pros, again, we're doing 10 Ks per 9. That's good. The con of that other side of the coin there, 10.6 hits per 9 allowed this year. Also going back to last year, same amount. Giving up a 2 whip overall, going back to last season as well. He gets strikeouts, and that's a positive. But this Diamondbacks lineup today really only, let's see. Christian Walker being in the lineup is going to give some extra strikeouts. That's a positive, as Jake mentioned. Jake Lamb also being in the lineup, going to give some extra strikeouts. He's got a 26.7% strikeout rate versus right-hand pitching. But the rest of these guys, all under league average, besides Alex Young, the debuting pitcher on the other side. Not a great strikeout spot for Beede. I don't mind him if you're going to match the field, but I think going over it would be a crazy move. And then also not trying to get leverage, I think, is a crazy move. Jake, if you're trying to get leverage on Beede, who would you go with from Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly make a case to full stack. I'm kind of focused in on a couple different stacks tonight, and that's pretty much about it. But if I was going to Arizona, Christian Walker, I like quite a bit for 4,600, just a guy with big power. Same thing with Peralta. I think he's more of the obvious play on Arizona's side. And then Jake Lamb at 4,500. So decent price tags, maybe a little bit overpriced for these guys. But if you're just getting weird, I think there's no problem going with 4, 5, 6. Kettle Marte, I would say, is a fine play, but he's 5,500, and I just have such a hard time like taking him over any of these Dodgers, despite the ownership discount you're going to get on him.
Yeah, I agree. I have some Marte today, and I'm definitely above the field on him, but I'm paying the premium there in the hopes that one of the Dodgers at a similar price falters, or I guess like Rocky as well, or even an Anthony Rendon in that price here. I guess if you hope those guys fail, then Marte gets there and has a big day versus Beede. I think that's the move. But the one guy I feel like is the strongest play is Peralta overall. 144 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. Reasonable price, 4,200 on DraftKings. I think it's just a nice spot for him overall. And I don't mind Lamb because of Escobar being ruled out right before we started the show. I'm going to end up with a stupid amount of Jake Lamb. The dual position eligibility just kind of makes me land on him a lot. And him being the same spot as what Escobar would have been at is a thing, I guess, for me to be happy with. If Jake Lamb has a nice day today, I'll be doing well. If Jake Lamb does Jake Lamb things, then I guess we'll be talking about this again tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't heard much about Lamb all season. Maybe I've just not been paying attention to the Diamondbacks, but it feels like, so I know he was hurt to start the season, but since he's come back, he hasn't been playing much at all, actually.
Yeah, he hasn't been good since coming back. I don't have the sample size in front of me, but
he's only played one game, it looks like, and that was yesterday. So that's why I haven't heard about him. So he did start the season. That was it. And then
okay. Yeah, the numbers don't look like just one game. Right. But yeah, going back to the whole year, he just really hasn't been good even before the injury. 318 on base percentage and 0.053 ISO on the year, which not good overall, and a 48 WRC plus. But hey, if anything can get back on track here, Beede is a matchup given up to what he gives up for lefties. 2.3 whip allowed to lefties, a 7.04 xFIP. He's actually much better versus righties, even though he also gives up a good amount of walks and hits with a 1.8 whip. He has a 4.3 xFIP versus righties. So I think if you are going to try to get some leverage there, either mini stacks, one-offs, Peralta obviously for me would be the top one-off there, but the lefties would be the ones I'd really want to go to because he's much worse versus lefties than he is for righties so far.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not super interested in targeting against Beede, but I mean, once we talk about stacks, you'll kind of see why. I like the idea of targeting against a 50% owned pitcher. I just don't think I'm going to get to a lot of these Diamondbacks bats because they're just not a stack that projects well. Despite even when I factor in the leverage, it's nice. It's a nice boost for them, but it's still tough for me to target against Beede in this park. Target against anyone in this park. I mean, it's just such a good pitcher's park.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think to me the thing is just that the hope is Beede just being so highly owned. These guys do have some potential there, but I agree. I think mini stacks would be more of a move. And even though I have a few full stacks, I'm not feeling terribly great about them. And just I guess the hope is that they bat around there in a park that's going to limit production on pretty much every stat. How about the guy on the other side, Alex Young? He's going to be similarly priced. I think we talked about him on the deeper dive today. Actually, damn it, I lost the strikeout numbers in front of me, but I think he was averaging 10.6 Ks per nine in AAA, but also a whip of about 1.7. And don't misquote me on that because I have the exact stats in the Four Corners video today if you want to check that out. But Young's been pretty much a similar player to Beede, getting strikeouts, also giving up a good amount of production. Are you going to have Young today, given that he's also going to be pretty highly owned?
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance that Young is my highest owned pitcher on the slate.
Oh,
not by a big margin or anything, but I think I agree with you. He's a similar pitcher. He's a similar play to Beede. Gets that same really good park. There's a bit of an unknown factor, but it's not like we've closed the book on who Beede is going to be either. So you get this, the lefty versus 5 out of 6 righties to start is a little bit of a concern. Gets a couple lefties at the bottom of the order. Gets the pitcher spot, of course. So there are some things going for him as well, and he's $100 cheaper on DraftKings, and he is near min salary, or maybe is 5,500 the min salary on FanDuel? I'm not even sure off the top of my head. You rarely see guys priced down here, but anyways, he's 5,500 on FanDuel. So FanDuel for sure gonna get a lot of him because I want to spend up for some of these big bats. And then DraftKings, I right now have more Young than Beede. I mean, just as scary of a spot in that you're playing a pitcher we don't think is great in half your lineups on a 4-game slate, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Where did you land on Alex Young?
So I am also heavier on Young than Beede, and like you're right, the lineup isn't a great one. I mean, you have a couple guys in here with really, really low strikeout rates. Pilar gonna have a 13% strikeout rate versus lefties. Longoria 16%, Posey under 10%, Solano hitting leadoff at 11%. But then you do have Tyler Austin there, who has a lot of power, but also strikes at a 35% clip. And Belt, I mean, I think it's pretty much mirror images of the lineups, but you have a little bit more strikeout potential here for Alex Young overall. And the hope too is you get a new pitcher here. He hasn't been in the major leagues before. It should be a positive theoretically because they haven't seen him. I think I would rather go with the unknown quantity in Young today than Beede, just because you're saving 10% in ownership, and on this slate, a 4-game slate, that might be enough.
Yeah, and there was even a bigger discrepancy for ownership before we just got this most recent update. So it looks like they've pulled together a little bit, and 10% isn't a huge deal on a 4-game slate. So if you like Beede, like play Beede. If you think Young's terrible, you by no means have to play this guy. There's also another guy in their range that is just getting basically no ownership, which is kind of weird. But yeah, both these guys fine plays. They're going to project as decent values, and there's a reason to pay down for pitching tonight. One really big reason, actually.
Yeah. What are you doing a little teaser here? Do you want to just segue into whatever you want to talk about with
we can keep talking about these pitchers. I think there will be some interesting takes on both sides of these guys.
So I think the other guy you're talking about, I'm assuming you mean the same price range, like most directly. Tanner Anderson, is he the one that you were inferring?
Yeah, implying? he's just getting no ownership. I mean, and it's a bad matchup. It's a higher implied total by over a run compared to both these other teams. You see. Or actually, I guess Alex's run total, he's got Arizona at 4.8, so maybe a little bit closer than if you look at other places. But 5.5 implied total against Anderson. He's a pretty decent ground ball pitcher. Going up against a lot of guys that are going to put the ball in play, so you just hope he does his thing, gets a bunch of ground balls, and keeps the ball out of the air against some of these really good hitters. And you're just getting a ridiculous ownership discount on this guy. So if Young and Beede, let's say they both score under double digits and Anderson gets you 15 somehow, that's massive. 6-point difference or 5-point difference on this slate at that kind of ownership is crazy. So yeah, I'm going to be over the field on him. I think both Josh and Adam on the deeper dive said that they were going to be the same way, and I just don't see a real reason not to. I get that he projects worse, but factoring in the ownership, it just seems ridiculous to not be over 3% on this guy if you're playing 150 lineups.
Yeah, I'm at about, I think, 10 or 15% with Anderson. I forget because I had to make so many changes with Escobar. But I think that's a fair take. The thing for me is that, so you're going to get more strikeouts pretty much for sure with both Beede and Young, but the risk that those guys can provide can't be substantial. Whereas Anderson, as Jake mentioned, he does keep the ball down pretty well. Just a 21% fly ball rate so far this year in the majors. Going back to last year, also a 16% fly ball rate going back to last season. And the Angels don't strike out at all. That's really the one thing that gives me a lot of pause here. 16.5% for this projected Angels lineup today, going against Anderson. So, yeah, I don't see a huge opportunity for him, but I guess the assumption is you don't need a big opportunity. It's just the other two guys you need to blow up. And those guys are certainly capable of it because, as we mentioned, they get the strikeouts, but they are giving up a lot of production. And not that Anderson isn't either, though.
Right. It's crazy on a 4-game slate that no one wants to play the guy that's just way less owned. He's less than 10 times as owned as both of these guys. It's just crazy. So, the projection is obviously much different, but we see bad pitchers do well all the time in bad spots. So if that happens here and you play 15 or 10 or 15% and you're 150, that's a really nice edge if Young and or Beede gets blown up here.
Yeah, especially with some good ownership too on the Angels here. The top, I guess three mostly, the La Stella, Trout, Ohtani grouping should be pretty well owned. But Upton and the expected Andrelton Simmons return, those guys should also have some ownership as well. So I agree. I think it's a decent spot to go to Anderson. Just not a guy who excites you much. And the lefty splits for him are really worrisome, though, which I think is why I have more Angels than Anderson overall. Because he has a 2.3 whip allowed to lefties, a 7.1 xFIP, only faced 58 batters on the left side. He's faced 61 right-handed batters, and he has a .96 whip and a 3.2 xFIP. So that is a pretty noteworthy split for Anderson. So guys like La Stella, Ohtani, I think Cole Calhoun also down the order, assuming he stays in there. Those guys could have a pretty decent day here because he's just been really bad for his lefties so far.
For sure, yeah. Ohtani, he's probably my favorite target on the Angels, so that makes sense.
Are you getting to any Peter Lambert, given that he is significantly cheaper and he's getting 7 implied runs against him, which is generally not a good sign, also being at Coors, but he is the most direct leverage in case somehow he grits out a decent day. And I guess if we want to point to one pro for him to revisit that quickly abandoned concept, 10.6 Ks per 9 to the left side of the plate for Peter Lambert and 36 batters faced. So if he keeps that up today, he's going to have a hell of a day with a lot of lefties in that lineup.
What did you say the number was?
10.6 Ks per 9 and 36 batters faced.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe he's getting more called strikes. I'm looking at his swinging strike and
swinging strike, not good.
Yeah.
And also a ton of hard contacts to the lefties, 58% hard contacts to lefties. So real boom bust situation.
Yeah, real boom bust situation. He's had trouble with first pitch strikes in 2 out of his 4 starts. If he's not throwing, good stuff early in the count here, he's just going to get blasted. And pitching at Coors, the implied total says it all. So let's see. I don't want to say I didn't get to him because I don't think I did, but on my crunch right before we went live, I had 0, and he's actually getting ownership, which is weird. Because the thing I was talking about with Laffy this morning was that, okay, so if you're playing Lambert, sure, if this were maybe a bigger slate, or there was a Braves team or someone like that was priced up super high, why are you playing Lambert on this slate unless you're just playing Turner, Rendon, Soto with Trout, Ohtani, and someone like that? I guess that's the only possible reason to do that, unless you're just leaving a bunch of salary on the table. Because even if he does well, even if he spoils the Dodgers stack, it's probably not going to be with 8 strikeouts where he's going to outscore Beede, Young, and Tanner Anderson.
So, if you get to Lambert, I have a couple Lambert lineups, and part of that is also because you get a full Arizona stack with that. So if you're really going heavy against Beede, I guess you're theoretically getting double leverage. I still don't think it's a great play, but I think for me in a tournament, I don't mind doing that kind of approach for at least a handful of lineups. So yeah, I agree. Lambert's not great at all. And he doesn't open up anything too appealing. You're right. You could also afford the Nationals, which if you really don't like Sandy Alcantara, they are still a decent hitting team who's capable of producing runs, but in a bad hitting park overall. You could also afford, I guess, Strasburg and Buehler then, and then maybe also the Arizona bats. But I think you could do some creative things that maybe would be very different. But I don't know that the upside is there. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess your top guy would be Strasburg. You go Strasburg, Lambert, then you would have 41.75 per player for all your position players. So, you could do an Angel stack with all the best parts. You could do a Rockies stack. That would probably be the way to do it. I'm kind of forgetting about the Rockies, but if you wanted to get Blackmon, Dahl, Arenado, Murphy, you still got some salary to play around with and get creative with. If you wanted to do a Giants 4-man with a Rockies 4-man, or A's 4-man, get some leverage off of Canning. I guess it's not as implausible as I thought. So just didn't really get to Lambert. Didn't feel the need, and I'm playing a lot of the team against him. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like the lineups that I have with Lambert are so stellar, but I think, you do get Angels in there. You also get the Arizona lineup in there, and I think that's enough. And then you could also kind of upgrade the shortstop position, because I think shortstop on DK is pretty brutal today. So maybe getting to Trey Turner, I think that's what I have in a couple here. That's what I think the appeal is of Lambert, is you can maybe upgrade a few positions that people may be going a little bit cheaper at. But I agree, it's not a sexy play and not one that I would want to advocate for. But if you have a penchant for risk and really want to go try to get some leverage out there, I think going with Lambert's at least an idea, if not one that you necessarily want to go at.
Yeah, it could certainly work out. $4,700 pitcher. Yeah, I guess I don't know why I would need to get to him over Young or Beede or even Anderson for that matter. So just such a difficult spot in Coors versus a team that just smashes everything but righties especially and doesn't strike out.
Yeah, it is a very, very tough matchup overall, and I honestly think I would. Well, I think it's one of the tougher matchups we've seen for a pitcher on paper, just given his lefty splits and just how good the other side of it is. I think you're not going to find many, and that 7-run total there that's implied definitely backs that out. Let's talk about the higher price guys, Jake. We have Strasburg up top, and we will get to all the hitting and all that, and also the dong picks. But let's close out pitching. Strasburg going to be pretty highly priced, but also in a nice spot going into Miami. Going to have obviously the pitching perk benefits that go with that. Decent run total as well, 3.2 implied runs against him. He projects well. He's pretty highly priced, so you got to do some gymnastics here if you are trying to get any Dodgers and Strasburg in there. But how are you feeling about Strasburg? Going to be with the field, above it, beneath it?
I'm gonna be below the field on Strasburg. If you guys kind of know how I play, I really prioritize bats. There are a couple stacks that are going very heavily underowned, undervalued compared to their chance of being the top stack overall. So I get it. Like Strasburg is a fantastic play. He's probably going to go out and mow down the Marlins. But that all is going to get wiped away if the Dodgers do what we think they're going to do, because it's basically impossible to fit in like a 4 or 5 man stack with Strasburg for the Dodgers. So I'm just going a different direction than Strasburg tonight. I actually had just 2.7%, 4 lineups out of 150 on my crunch with Strasburg that I did right before the show. I hope that comes up a little bit. I don't want to have no eggs in the Strasburg basket, but yeah, it's just not the night for me to pay up here, even though I recognize it's a great matchup. He projects well on every projection system. The value isn't great. You don't often see pitchers priced up this high, but it's him or the bats for me, and I'm siding with the bats. What about you?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think the most you could get really, I'm looking at a couple ones here. Like if you go really cheap at catcher, like you can go, I have one which has Holiday and Strasburg in the same lineup, but I don't really care. For Holiday, just hoping to get a few walks and maybe he gets the one hit or the one run that Strasburg gives up. You can get to like Beede and Muncy. I think Beede is a guy who's a little bit more affordable, but yeah, like if you're trying to get a lefty Dodgers bat with Strasburg, it is kind of tough to get in there. And I agree. I think if you can make it work somehow, if you find the right value, if like let's say Alex Young gets blown up and that Giant side is a contributor, you have maybe some of the cheap guys there like Tyler Austin, he adds value. But overall, I think you're right. It's going to be a really tough one. So if you could figure out a way that makes it work and makes you happy with the lack of value out there, it's going to be a low-owned combination probably to have Strasburg and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take like Beede, Barnes, like let's just say you take the 4 lowest priced Dodgers, you're at 4K remaining for SP2, second base, shortstop, and 2 outfield positions. So like you can't go to Lambert because you got a 4-man stack, and that really really handcuffs you into like basically one team you can play, and that's probably the Giants or maybe the lower part of the A's order or something like that. It just gets really ugly if you try to jam in Strasburg with any sort of Dodgers.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough one, and I think an approach where you have maybe try to capture the 1-off or 2-off guys who maybe have a 3-run homer or whatever it may be. That's a possible way to get there, but going to be a tough one for sure if you want to try that. What about the other high priced, or I guess at least high upside pitcher today? He's not highly priced on DraftKings, a little bit higher priced on FanDuel and Yahoo. Walker Buehler, going to be really highly owned on DraftKings because of that discount. Still has 5 implied runs against him. He did just smoke this Colorado lineup at home. Now going into Coors, though, a much tougher spot, obviously. How much Buehler are you going to have, and I guess is it affected by the various sites?
Yeah, so on DraftKings, I'm actually not getting to as much Buehler as I anticipated. I thought maybe there was a good chance that I could get him as my highest owned pitcher, and I would have been pretty pumped about that. He's just been phenomenal. His last 4 starts, 26 points is his low. He's going over 100 pitches in 3 out of the 4. I mean, it's Coors Field that you're worried about here. You're not really worried about the Rockies. You're just worried about the environment. But he's a guy that can miss bats. And if you're missing bats in Coors, the environment doesn't really matter. So I would take my chances with Buehler over Strasburg. Discount, like with the discount, obviously on DraftKings, 3K discount is huge tonight. That might sneak you in an extra, big bat or 2. And then, he's going up against Tapia, McMahon, Walters, Garrett Hampson, pitcher spot. It's not all that scary once you get past Murphy. And there's still strikeouts in the top of this Colorado order, especially for a guy like Walker Buehler. So while I I really like the idea of playing him as a GPP play, even though, like, even when I'm trying to get to Bueller, um, I'm just finding myself paying down so much at pitcher that I'm not going to get to where the field's at.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. I actually have the same amount of Bueller and Strasburg, and I'm okay with that because I do think they both have upside here. I'm not with the field on Bueller, though, ownership-wise on DraftKings. 40% for him feels a bit high to me, even though the price is pretty appealing there. I just don't think – I think a lot of people are going to chase that, and obviously we're going to have a ton of ownership on there. So, I mean, even if it were just where the ownership is in our projections, it's still a lot being on him there. And if he gets blown up, and not that he's, as Jake mentioned, he's been really good. So I'm afraid to say like that he could even get blown up, but he's not going to have the 50-point upside again. And if he doesn't have a great day, if he has like a high teens day, you could probably get that out of one of the other cheap guys we've talked about. And I think that's sort of where I shook out with, or even Griffin Canning, who theoretically has some upside.
Isn't it? It's kind of crazy that Canning is lower owned than Bueller, because this morning it was the other way around. I mean, Canning was much higher owned than Bueller, if I remember correctly, when Lofty and I were doing the strategy show. And I just figured that you wouldn't see a pitcher, even on a 4-game slate, get up to almost 40% ownership on DraftKings. So a little bit crazy. The ownership is pushing him out when I filter down my lineups a little bit. We just got Oakland's lineup. So we're just waiting on one more. And then I'll start crunching. But yeah, it's tough with Canning right there, now lower owned, in a much better environment and for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Canning fan, but I do think that is an argument that you can make for sure, and he does have some strikeout upside. Also, people in the chat are asking where dong picks are, so let's just do them now. We'll circle back on Canning and I guess the rest of the pitching, and then we'll talk about stacks. But Jake, I guess we'll update the standings. I don't think we got the updates from yesterday. And
no, I updated mine from yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I got Moustakis. I don't think any of you guys got it. No one tagged me yesterday, so I figured no one got it, but feel free to correct.
No, nobody got it. Yeah, that Phillies game stunk for both Emac and Josh, who had Mikael Franco and Rhys Hoskins, respectively. Pete Alonso had a perfectly fine day, but did not hit a home run. Clearly, the move was Dominic Smith, as we all would have expected going into that game.
Of course.
But the leaderboard right now, Emac still in the lead with 15 total dongs. Jake right behind him now with 14. I'm behind Jake with 12, and Josh still bringing up the rear with 11. And also lowest percentage overall. Poor Josh, under 20% on his correct picks. That's a tough nut to swallow. But Jake, who's going to be your pick here? Actually, here's a question. Should we open up Coors today? Because we really have no options besides Coors.
I mean, we're going to open up Coors?
For one day only, I think.
I don't think we should. I think – no, let's not open up Coors. Let's do the other 3 games. Is that
fine?
Cool?
All right, Jake. So no Coors still for us, but if you want to make a Coors home run pick, go to my Four Corners video right now on this YouTube channel. If you like the video and leave a comment and you guessed the guy correctly, here's a double dong today. You'll be entered to win a free month of Osmo Plus. We're doing that pretty much every day on my Four Corners videos, so check it out right now on the channel. And of course, subscribe so you'll know whenever we have new content, whether it's a strategy show in the morning, the deeper dive in the afternoon, Four Corners before the deeper dive. Got a lot of stuff here every day, including all the other sport content as well. So go subscribe, hit the notification bell. All right, Jake, who would be your non-Coors home run pick that you're making so difficult for us?
Trust me, I'm making it difficult for myself. I would love to take a Dodgers batter, 7. I will go with Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, I was going to call you a word I should not have said, but that is the only choice to make. Yeah, Ohtani, a strong play. I'm going to go. All right, you know what? I'll go to the other side. I will go with a guy who I've been backing on the Four Corners video today, and I talked about him earlier in the show. David Peralta in San Francisco, a tough home run spot, but let's give it a shot.
That's a good pick as well. Tough park, but very good.
Joe Ohtani, a better pick, and possibly Tommy La Stella, also a better pick, but I'll take my guy. Take the guy I have a lot of ownership of.
Yeah, that's what I usually go with. So Ohtani's one of my higher owned guys after the top tier. I have a lot of bad hitters after the top tier, as you can imagine, but yeah, it's gonna be a weird one for me. So go Ohtani, I suppose.
And we'll see if Emac gives us a pick, checking his chats right now. But if he gives us one, we'll update you guys, because of course you should be tailing Emac every day on his home run picks. Ride him while he's hot, even though he's still hot. He's had one last week, so he's good. All right, what else we got here? Just making sure we didn't miss any questions.
Have we talked about Canning really?
Yeah, let's talk about him. Just people talking about the Oakland lineup, which I'm not seeing updated yet. Oh, there it is. Bo Taylor in the lineup. Okay. Let me just update this. So yeah, tell me about Canning, Jake, because I'm going to update the Oakland lineup while you tell me. But what are you doing with Canning? What do you see the value in him? I assume you're going to have more of him than Walker Buehler based on what you said before.
Yeah, gonna have more of him than Bueller unless we get a really big ownership update. If they were neutral, if they were the same ownership, I would probably be closer to the same exposure on them. But Canning just, I mentioned I'm not that worried about the environment with Bueller, but if he's gonna be 10% more owned than Canning, I guess for me it's kind of easy to just go with the guy with not the 5 implied total against him. Canning has a 15% swinging strike rate on the season. He's obviously got swing and miss. He's had issues going deep into the game, so that's a knock against him and a knock for Walker Buehler, as we've seen, who has the massive upside. I don't think Canning has that sort of massive upside. The lineup, I'm trying to see really quick. It looks okay. I don't think it's probably a neutral compared to, it's not an upgrade or downgrade compared to what the projected one was, but we'll find that out in a couple minutes when Alex updates the projections. But yeah, he's just a guy who can miss bats for 8,500, and he's lower owned than the other guy in that range. And the $400 actually is going to matter to me, at least on DraftKings it will.
So, no Piscotty in there, which is a lateral move for, I guess, the lineup, but does ruin a couple lineups I had. Well, that's fine. Well, I'll just do those later. Bo Taylor, too, I think being in there might be a bit of an upgrade. Actually, what's Bo Taylor's price? Because that could be an important thing. If he's cheap, I think he's more interesting.
He is 2,700.
Ooh, so I like that actually then. Ooh, okay. That's actually pretty interesting because that he's now the cheapest playable pitcher on the slate. I mean, there's including anybody in the line because Brian Holiday was the cheapest before this. 2,700. That's a little bit of savings there, and he does have some pop. 23 at bats so far in the majors. He's had a versus righty. He's had a 389 ISO, and also making pretty good hard contact with 54%. Bo Taylor, pretty interesting to me actually now.
Yeah, I mean, $2,700 catcher on this slate. I'm sure he'll find his way into a few of my lineups. That now makes him the cheapest catcher, no?
Yeah, I would think that also makes him kind of an interesting cash game play too.
I mean he's cheaper than Brian Holiday.
Yeah. Maybe people will own him because I feel like that price, there is so little value on the slate. There's really not anybody in that 3K range, low 3K range that you would even consider playing. Definitely not many in that.
Buster Posey. Yeah. I mean, anytime I can get some exposure off of Posey, I'm willing to do that, especially if you're going to get some leverage off of Griffin Canning here.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. Yeah, so I'm not crazy about Canning just because he's given up a good amount of power. He has been getting a good amount of strikes, though. I mean, the 15% swing strike rate is the highest on today's slate, which is noteworthy. But he's given up a lot of fly balls, giving up a 4.4% home run rate. So versus an Oakland team whose actual confirmed lineup now has a 219 ISO, which is a little bit aided by the limited Bo Taylor sample size. But a lot of power going against Canning, and even if he gets the strikeouts, team overall strikes out underneath league average, even though there are some guys in the middle order who can offer Canning some strikeouts there. I think it's just a dangerous spot for him where he could give up those 3 home runs and just kind of wipe out any strikeout potential that he has.
Yeah, certainly is dangerous. I can't really disagree with that.
All right. Anybody else you have? Do you have any Sandy Alcantara? Any? Tanner Anderson we talked about already, but
yeah,
Alcantara.
Actually, I'm getting to. So Anderson is he's the other guy in that range that's not getting ownership. That's basically the Cliff Notes version. He's not very good, but I don't know that Beede and Alex Young are going to be either. And they're being owned like they're going to be good. So Alcantara, it's a moderate total against him, 4.7 runs for the Nats here. Good pitcher's park. He's not a big strikeout pitcher, but he's a guy that's getting even less ownership than Bueller and Canning in this range. So just as a way to get different, I would imagine a lot of my Alcantara lineups are actually using him as an SP1 with Beede or Alex Young, which is quite the pairing on DraftKings on 2-pitcher sites, Yahoo as well. It's just an ownership thing, honestly. These slates just come down so much to ownership and what I can fit in for bats, and he's allowing me to fit in more than paying up for pitcher.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it. And I don't think I might have one Alcantara lineup. I just don't like the spot. I don't like going against Washington in general, and which does not, it's not always the correct take, I guess, because Zach Gallen yesterday, or was yesterday or 2 days ago, had that nice day as well going against him. He ended up not having a great fantasy day overall because he did give up the big home run, which seemed like a possibility, and with some runners on base. But still, had a nice day there. And I think Alcantara, not as good of a pitcher as Gallen overall in terms of strikeout stuff, but not a total incompetent pitcher. And he does limit home runs pretty well. And maybe he's enough to get something done. Though that price on DraftKings, like paying $8K for Alcantara, not the most fun thing ever.
No, it's not at all. Like if he was 7,300, he'd probably be owned a ton more. But there's just no one in this 6,300. I guess Anderson, but not a lot of appealing options in this like mid tier here. But yeah, it's pretty tough. It's not a fun pitching slate. I can't believe we've even spent 30 minutes, 35 minutes talking about this. It's pretty impressive, actually.
I told you we'd find a way to stretch it, Jake.
You did.
I promise. All right, let's talk about stacks here. Jake, what's your number one stack? I have no clue who it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm sure to this point you can't figure out who it is. The LA Dodgers, have you heard of them? They have a 7.6 implied total against good old Peter Lambert. They're just incredible to play against righties all the time. They rolled out a really, really good lineup, as you're seeing here. I don't think there's a huge pinch hit risk. If there is, it's probably because they're up big, so then it won't really matter to me. They're going under-owned by actually a huge margin. So let me paste this top stack in, and I'll actually tell you guys just how under-owned they're going. Let's see. So while they are chalk, of course, they're going to be the highest owned stack, or one of the highest owned stacks. Let's see here. They are going under owned on DraftKings by 16%. So They have just a peek behind the curtain for the people that are thinking about getting premium. We've got this top stack tool. It is one of our favorites. They are 37% to be the top stack, which is ridiculous, even on a 4-game slate. They're being owned at 20%, so by far the highest owned stack on the slate, but not as high as they should be according to this tool. So it's really tough to fit them in. Top value, they're even up there on DraftKings as the top value, which is maybe the more interesting thing. They're the second best top value percentage, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Could possibly be a typo, but I don't think it actually is. Just because there are some viable cheap pitching options tonight, and the expensive ones that like Strasburg especially is just super expensive and really handcuffs you. So people love their pitching. I don't. I will take uncomfortable pitchers and just take the top bats in the spot basically every time.
Okay, yeah, and I think the projections that we have for the Dodgers are just so high that it's almost hard for them not to be the top value because nobody else really comes close as an overall stack. So I think that'll certainly affect it a bit. The closest one, I think, besides that, at least just looking at it right now and not actually at the top stacks tool, I think it would be Colorado, and even them, I mean, the value isn't quite there as much as it is for the Dodgers.
Right.
So it's hard to find a reason to not go with the Dodgers besides the fact that it's baseball and things can happen, and that's why I have some Peter Lambert, and it's not a fun feeling to have that, but at least that way, if the Dodgers completely blow it up and are terrible and somehow Peter Lambert has a 10 strikeout day, I'll be there for you guys.
Yeah. Man, if he has a 10 strikeout day, you won't be hearing much from me tonight, but I don't know. I just think it's going to be bombs away from the get-go here.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I think that also that percentage, obviously a little bit magnified by being a short slate, but the 37% chance of being a top stack, 35% on FanDuel, 37% on Yahoo. I think it's the highest we've had on a slate so far. I mean,
so if you think about it on so there's 8 teams in the slate, the average would be what, 12 and a half, right? Yeah. So an average top stack percentage on the slate would be 12 and a half. They are 3 times that. It's absolutely insane. I mean, they're just by far the highest run total on the slate. No one even close. And you can fit them in. It's difficult. You have to play some pitchers that you're not really wanting to play. But yeah, that's what I'm doing in almost all of my lineups, it looks like.
Yep. Oh, also, I don't think I actually gave Emac's pick, but he picked Cole Calhoun. So in case you were worried about who Emac was going with, that is who your old pal is picking for his home run pick.
Nice. Pretty good pick.
Yeah. He's trolling you with the Angels. Only one of us is brave enough to go to the terrible hitting park for David Peralta.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have liked Coors. I feel like Coors would have been fun because we would have had all of our guys, and maybe we all would have gotten one while Josh wouldn't have been a part of it. That would have been a win-win for everybody.
Then he would have had to. We would have had to allow him to pick Coors on an upcoming slate, though. I think.
Nah, he'd have been fine.
I'm sure he would have gone for that. Yeah.
Exception. If he's on a 4-game live before lock with the Colorado game, I think that's fine then. But now we're being too much of a gentleman, I would say.
All right, fair enough.
Who's gonna be your number 2 stack?
So the Dodgers are just by far my number 1 stack. They're my number 1 mini stack. They're everything tonight for me. So I'll just reiterate that. But after them, it's probably going to be. Let's see. I can't find my. Oh, there's my exposure. All right. It's probably going to be a bunch of Giants bats, unfortunately. Giants, and then Marlins. I'm getting a lot of fillers, like Castro. Miguel Rojas, like just not good hitters, but I am getting some Nationals as well. So Eaton Dozier, Matt Adams, I'm getting a lot of. Suzuki's up there for me in that next tier, and then oddly enough, the guy I'm not getting to as much is Soto, and that's just because he's priced up near some of these Dodgers. So mostly mini stacks for me after LA, but I guess if I had to choose a full stack after that, it's probably the Giants against my highest exposed pitcher, which is weird.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about the downsides of Alex Young earlier, where he just reads out similarly to Tyler Mahle in terms of giving up a good amount of walks and hits, but also theoretically getting a good amount of strikeouts, or at least he did in AAA. And the spot here, a good one for strikeouts, a good one for keeping the ball in. Well, I guess not even a good one for strikeouts because the pitcher's kind of weighing that a little bit heavier, but a decent one for strikeouts for Alex Young. But having some stacks going the other way, given how much Young I think both of us have, I have a little bit of Giants as well, and I think you have some guys that are reasonably priced, and you can also afford the Dodgers better if you have some Giants in your lineup.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they're going to give you leverage. They're going to allow you to fit in top bats. That's really the case for them. They're not very good hitters outside of probably Brandon Belt, and that is about it. Like, the guys are making fun of Solano a little bit. We got the Angels lineup. Nice. Guys are making fun of Solano a little bit. I think he's got an ISO under 100. Like, just doesn't project to be a very good hitter. Buster Posey's got no power. So you're just kind of looking for the Giants to nickel and dime Alex Young here enough to get him out of the game and make him not worth it.
Tyler Austin has power in that 3-hole, which I think is a little bit concerning, even though he doesn't have a great batting average. It's a 235 batting average versus lefties. He does have a 275 ISO and a pretty good home run rate. He strikes out, though, also, I think we mentioned that before, but at a decent clip, 35% strikeout rate versus a lefty. But if those guys get on in front of him, and Solano doesn't really strike out, and, Belt's Belt, but if those guys get on in front of him, I think it could be a spot where that could immediately be, pay dividends for Austin, but also cause some trouble for Young.
Yeah. The only difference I'm seeing in the Angels lineup is, there's two differences, actually. Pujols is in for Justin Bour. I'm not sure if other sites had that, but we're showing Bour right now, and then Darno is not in. Lucroy is in. So let's see.
Is it Darno in a different scene? Oh, Garno. Okay. They're like, I was like, did Darno get traded again? Like, that dude sucks, but he can hold that one job. Lucroy being in. I had Lucroy as being in. Simmons got bumped down a little bit down the lineup, and Calhoun came up, so that adds a little more value to Calhoun with the lefty bat at the 5-hole now. Okay,
but actually in our projections we had everyone in the Angels lineup correct. So I just had started my crunch for FanDuel before that, so I am not going to restart. We have everyone in the lineup. That's all that matters. And we just got an ownership update.
Oh, there we go. Let's see if anything changed there. Come on, more Tyler Beede. Go back up, Tyler. No, he came down 1%.
Yeah, I think it's going to be jammed in pretty close together. All these guys, including Strasburg, including Buehler, Canning.
Does Beede get a little more appealing to you now that Young is down, or Young is up to 35% on DK, and Buehler is also in that same price or that same ownership range?
A little bit. He'll probably pop up a little bit more once I filter out everything, but not significant. Like if all of a sudden their ownerships had flipped and it was 40 to Young and Beede was only at 30 or something like that, then that would make a significant change for me. But a couple percentage points here and there, not gonna change too much, I wouldn't imagine.
People in the YouTube chat seem confused about the Angels lineup. It's La Stella, Trout, Otani, Upton, Calhoun, Pujols, Simmons, Rengifo, and Lucroy. Of course, Luis Rengifo, a recent hero of Live Before Lock.
Dude, Rengifo, man, he's made me actually a good amount of money lately. Like,
Oh.
he projects well, and he's really low owned when he's near the bottom of the order in Alex's rankings all the time. So, I don't know if he's just a better hitter than I thought, but yeah, he's actually not been a bad play as of late.
I think he's pretty okay versus lefties. Versus righties, I think he's significantly worse. Because this time today, like I wouldn't play him, but I feel like I usually go like, all right, Rengifo, fine. Versus lefties, I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
Versus righties, he has a 210 batting average, a 150 ISO, and a 77 WRC plus. So he's not too good, but still, just like an average hitter. If the price works, why not?
Exactly. Why not? That's what you got to say to yourself on a 4-gamer like this.
That's true. Are you getting any Washington going against Alcantara, given that you have a little bit of him, or any Miami going against Strasburg, given that you have none of him, or
Yes,
very little of him?
Some Washington value bats, not getting to a lot of Rendon and Soto was the other guy. So I'm getting to Robles, some Suzuki actually, which I'm surprised about, and then Matt Adams and Eaton. So kind of the obvious value guys, not their top hitters, which concerns me. It makes me think that I'm getting to the Nats mostly as mini stacks.
Also, apparently the Twins-Rays game is still going, so hopefully you really didn't jinx Brett, and they're just not putting up like a five-run extra inning session right now.
I think the only way for him to lose would be like if someone donged, like if there was like a grand slam or something. Because I don't like the Pirates were already the nuts on that slate, so it's not like there's stacks chasing him.
Okay.
Unless Tampa scored like 8 runs in the top of the 15th or something like that. It's ridiculous.
That would be the ultimate tilt. We would want to have a camera on Brett for that, I think, if that actually did occur.
That would be terrible.
That would be very upsetting, but also hilarious. But obviously not a likely outcome. Definitely not one I'm rooting for because we don't have a camera on Brett, so it wouldn't be useful for me right now.
That's right.
Any Miami at all going against Strasburg?
Yeah, kind of a surprising amount, and I'm pretty certain when I look through my lineups, it's going to be mostly one-offs and maybe some two-mans and like 5-2-1s with like Castro and Walker or someone like that. Rojas leading off. I mean, anytime you're leading off for 3K, no matter who you're going up against, you're probably going to be at least in play as a decent value. He's got basically no power. He's going up against a really good pitcher. But yeah, he's 3K leading off. Castro's 2,800, so they're allowing me to fit in Dodgers. Riddle, same thing. So, like, I would say not the best parts of the Marlins stack, but there are no good parts of a Marlins stack. So it's a lot of fillers, that just the cheap guys.
Garrett Cooper's okay. I think he's starting to stand out in the pack as being an okay hitter, and Anderson too isn't terrible. Like they're at least decent hitters.
That's fair.
Yeah, Garrett Cooper actually 145 at bats versus a righty, has a 320 batting average, a 407 on base percentage, and a 152 ISO. The ISO part not great, but 140 WRC plus too. Garrett Cooper's been doing some stuff.
140 WRC plus?
Yeah.
That's not bad. Sorry, Garrett Cooper.
Yeah. How dare you speak ill of Garrett Cooper indirectly?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of stacking against Strasburg if you're not going to be playing a lot of him, but it does seem like a better Strasburg spot, and I am also paying for a decent amount of Strasburg. So, but if you're not doing it, I think that's certainly an approach to having a few lineups.
I mean, you kind of have to, I think, if you're not playing Strasburg, because one of these cheap guys is going to be okay. If Strasburg goes out and gets you 40 points or something, I'm probably just going to lose unless the Dodgers score 15. But if Strasburg is not the nut, like if Strasburg and someone else is not the nut lineup construction, then it's a good chance that maybe he left in like the 5th or 6th and maybe he gave up a home run or two. So I think having some of these cheap Marlins, if you're not over the field on Strasburg, is just logical.
Yeah, I think I agree. I just think if you're not going to play a lot of him, might as well get a little bit in there. And that is sort of the whole thing we talk about. You got to take an angle and figure it out and get the leverage wherever you can. And Strasburg's ownership especially on DK, well, I guess everywhere, going to be pretty highly owned. So that is one spot to get leverage today.
Did you see, I know you haven't been on a show today, but did you see his ownership or his price on Yahoo tonight?
I did not.
$49, same price as Griffin Canning.
Okay. It's pretty equitable players. Two similar guys.
And then Bueller is like $2 more. It's just crazy. Like over there, if you play on Yahoo tonight, if Yahoo's your main site tonight, then yeah, you're playing a lot of Strasburg. And you can still fit in the Dodgers because they're not even priced up, a lot of those guys. So your cash lineup on Yahoo should look like Strasburg, whoever your SP2 is, as many Dodgers bats as you can fill in with, and then there's always min salary guys on Yahoo you can play as well.
Yeah, I guess that explains why Strasburg is going to be over 60% owned. And 67% now. I guess, one last Yahoo updates, because you should be playing Yahoo every day. Of course, we do have the deals for Yahoo. You go to the site right now, go check out Emacs. I guess any of the Spotlight articles on the site, just Control F Spotlight, you'll find one of them. You have the details on how to sign up. You get a bonus from Yahoo where you get a deposit bonus right away. Yeah, Strasburg 67%, Beede 62% on Yahoo. Jock Peterson 58%. Oof.
58?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen a hitter at 58 before. That's wild.
Yeah. Yahoo's pricing very reasonable. They apparently no management fees on their player pricing as well.
Nice.
All right, let's see any questions here. If you have any questions, drop them in the YouTube chat or the premium Slack. We have about 12 minutes left because it is a 7:10 East Coast time start today. So cherish every moment while you can, and you can get with us. Hey, check out that article too. Waiting on this damn Angels lineup. Sean V, the lineup came out a while ago.
The lineup's been out for like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, get with the times, Sean V. Jeez.
Yeah, you're good.
It's your one shout out you get today, Sean V. Let's see. Bohr out, Simmons in. Yes. All right, we know that. I'm foolish. I have a full-blown Miami stack just in case. I wouldn't say that's foolish at all. I'm foolish.
I don't think you need to do a full-on stack. I mean, could the Marlins put up, 8 runs or something, 10 runs here and score the most runs on the slate? I'm sure. I mean, it's possible, but very unlikely that they're the highest scoring stack on the slate, and they're getting ownership on a lot of their guys as fillers. So I don't think the full Miami stack is the smart way to get leverage off of Strasburg.
Yeah, I don't mind like a 4-man. Actually, yeah, I don't know. I like Ramirez, Cooper, and Anderson and Walker are all guys I personally wouldn't mind, but you probably don't need all of them. Yeah, I guess now I'm looking at it.
Just the
mattering to those
opportunity
guys.
cost. Yeah, I mean, because if you're not paying up for Strasburg, and you're paying for 5 Marlins on DraftKings, like, I don't even know if you're going to fill out your salary, even if you play the most expensive guys left.
Nice Bueller Strasburg. I guess, well, that's right. A Bueller Alcantara lineup you could definitely get too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not super pretty. Like, there's not a ton of reasons to pay for 5 Marlins.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. Checking the premium Slack for anything they're talking about.
PCRA. They're talking about.
They're talking about the important stuff. That's the kind of conversation you get in the premium Slack. Use that promo code live before lock. Also, you have the night slate content's coming up soon. Is there even a night slate today? There probably is.
There's a 2-game night slate. There's a mini max, so okay. I might play that. We'll see.
How do you even get 150 lineups out of a 2-game slate? I guess it's possible.
Same way as always. I mean, if you're capping at a constant, depending on slate size, it's not too difficult.
Well, if you want to play the mini max along with Jake in the night slate today, you can use that promo code live before lock and get half off your first month of any Osmo Plus membership. Our night slate content is the best in the industry. Our management team this is what they make their bread and butter on a lot of times. Obviously, you see Osmo, various avatars, and Osmo himself at the top of a lot of tournaments during the regular slates. But our guy Tom, our guy Eddie, those guys have been winning a lot of night slates, and they put everything into the ownership projections for the specialized slate content. So go check it out now. Use that promo code live before lock for half off your first month. Let's see. No Bohr. All right, Sean B catching up on the no Bohr thing. Just can see his entire process develop in the chat today. That's the kind of show. Just spent more pros and cons time.
Yeah, exactly. More pros and cons. These contests on DraftKings, I don't know if some of them are gonna fill. I don't think they are. What are we? 9 minutes away? 8:30, 8:20 from lock. Yeah, the 333 is not gonna fill. Yeah, some of these are gonna overlay pretty good, it looks like.
Yeah, so if you got some extra money laying around and you haven't been putting enough lineups in, go do that. Overlay is one of very few advantages you will always have when playing DFS lineups, because that is one chance in which you will be hopefully losing less money than you would otherwise and potentially winning more if you're doing everything right.
Losing less money than you would otherwise. No, winning more, of course. Like
yes, but either way, I would say I'd be careful with that $333 tournament though. If you're just watching us on YouTube right now, maybe don't go into that one.
Yeah, probably don't unless you're Brick or Alex or. I don't even think Tom plays the high stakes. I think he sticks to the MME tournaments because he's got so much of an edge on those guys. Whereas you're not going up against Alex and Papa Gates, Chipotle Addict, and all those studs.
Yeah, those tournaments are a terrifying place to be if you are a person who doesn't know your stuff, but really gratifying if you do place well in them. So, weigh the pros and cons. Play accordingly to your bankroll. Don't be an idiot. Makad asking on this particular slate of all slates for the Paul Blackburn of the night, of course, the historical award going to a pitcher who is both terrible but also cheap and could be in a tournament-winning lineup. Yesterday, we did say, or I guess that was with Josh, but I was like, it has to be Jason Vargas, but we ended up talking about somebody else. And it ended up being Vargas for real. Jake, today, who would be the Jason Vargas? Who would be the apple of your eye?
Who would be the Jason Vargas? Give me Tanner Anderson, I suppose.
Oh, of course. That's yeah, he is a bad one. Who's like, it's got to be Lambert, I think, because if he somehow got leverage on the Dodgers for you and was also 4,700, that would completely break everything on the slate. So I would go Peter Lambert.
Okay, fair enough.
Certainly not. Actually, I am playing him, so I guess I can't even say it. Like, I'm playing him. I think that's at least a thought process. Probably not a good one, but it is a thought process. I actually don't even know what he looks like, and he's also not very encouraging by looking at him.
Yeah, not very encouraging, indeed.
Yeah, he's got like kind of a cherubic face. If you finish your lineups, Jake, and you want to pull up some Peter Lambert photos at some point, he's just somebody I feel like we should see the face of. He doesn't give you a lot of confidence. He doesn't have a mean mug at all. So real fresh face though. Real baby face.
Like Bellinger, kind of. I wonder if he gets attacked on the field, though. That's going to be the question. Have you seen that with Bellinger?
No. What?
These women are like, a couple times have like ran out onto the field to like hug him. Just to hug him. And they're like going to jail, but like they know they're going to, because if you run on the field, you're going to jail. But yeah, it's happened a couple times now. It's kind of a thing.
Oh, it happens on the road too? Oh,
I think so. Yeah. I think maybe one time at home, one time on the road, if I remember correctly. But yeah, kind of weird stuff. With Cody Mania taking the baseball world by storm in recent weeks, there's a decent chance a female admirer or two might run out onto the field looking for a hug from the Dodgers' sweet swinging hunk. Wow. Jake, is it your goal in life to be called the sweet swinging hunk in a legitimate media? There could be worse nicknames than that for sure. Sweet swinging hunk. I mean, It doesn't get much better than that. Whoever wrote that line deserves a bit of a raise. That is excellent. I mean, that would be a great nickname to have. You kidding?
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say that's a goal to have that. Just it's a really strange poetic way to refer to him and him getting hugged. Yeah, it was a road loss to the Diamondbacks. A young woman ran out into the field and attempted to hug the 23-year-old former National League Rookie of the Year. He's only 23. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's younger than me, if that's possible. But yeah, he is.
You think he knows the Rocky movies?
I'd say 50-50 at best.
I really thought he was like at least 26 or 27. I did not realize he was 23.
No, he came up early and just he crushed right away, then cooled down, then started crushing again, obviously this season. But yeah, he's a sweet swinging hunk indeed.
We just need to call him that whenever he's an important player on a slate moving forward. Josh is going to be really confused when we do that on the show with him.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be on the slate tomorrow. Maybe I'll pull that one out on the Yahoo show.
And check out this sweet swinging hunk and his nice price. We should talk about all the players like that with those kind of adjectives. Like, oh, check out this beefy hunk of man and his power. Great isolated power.
You talking about Vogelbach now?
Yeah, that was exactly who I was thinking of too. Anybody who EMAC picks for a home run, a big beefy hunk of man.
Just like Matt Adams, Vogelbach. I don't even know who else.
The now designated for assignment Yonder Alonso also fits that criteria.
Sad.
Jeremiah asking in the chat, who are the home run picks? I went with David Peralta. Jake went with Shohei Ohtani, and EMAC, the home run leader in the clubhouse, went with Cole Calhoun. So go get your Cole Calhoun stock right now.
I'm creeping up on EMAC. Did you say that it was going to be a question of does someone catch EMAC by the end of June? Is that right? Yeah.
So our Osmo MLB Twitter at some point had given out odds on whether any of us would catch EMAC before the end of the month. And we have a couple days left in the month, and EMAC is at 15. Jake, you are at 14 total dongs. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get him.
He's squirrely. You get close to him, and he runs away again.
I know. We've been within one on him a couple times now, but I think I'm going to get him tonight.
SJM asking in the premium Slack, which MLB player would you most like to hug?
Most like to hug? I'd have to think about that.
I would go with like Carlos Correa, so I'd like feel like I'm a big fucking man.
Correa? He's not that small.
Isn't he? I thought isn't he like 5'7"?
Oh no, you're thinking of Altuve.
The Jose Altuve, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Jose
Altuve.
Altuve. Oh yeah, Correa's 6'4". No, I don't want to hug him. He's too big.
Yeah, Correa's huge. I thought you meant like slender. I mean, he's a little slender, but
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Altuve. I mean, I want like a little guy who looks like a jockey. Yeah, Altuve's what I was thinking of. My bad.
Altuve. Yeah, maybe Altuve. I was thinking more of like the bigger dudes, guys that just
Yeah, like a big teddy bear is what you're
Right,
doing. But I want to
exactly.
go the other way where I could be like, yeah, well, I'm the alpha male. This one, Jose Altuve. Take that.
Williams Astudillo. That is a perfect answer. Brett says in chat. That's fantastic. I second that for sure. That guy is one of the coolest looking players out there.
And he won't strike out when you hug him, so that's good. Or if you ask him for a hug, you won't strike out, perhaps.
That's a lock. Although he has 5 strikeouts this season. That's more than I would have guessed.
Yeah. All right, we got 2 minutes left to lock, so get your lineups in. If you're crunching things, upload them to the site of your choosing right now. And of course, if you're not crunching anything, use that promo code Live Before Lock. Get that off half month off on a package, including Fantasy Cruncher. So do that right now. Any Awesome Plus package, get half off with the promo code Live Before Lock right now. Get that night slate in there.
All right, so here's my exposures, final exposures for DraftKings. First 6 bats are all Dodgers. Over 34% of Barnes, Muncy, Turner, Verdugo, Bellinger, and Jock. Highest exposed pitcher is Alex Young, then Beede, both over 50% though. So yeah, Young 52.7, Beede at 50 flat, 75 out of 150. Canning comes in next, and then it is Bueller. I got some more Bueller than I imagined, almost 20%. Alcantara and Tanner Anderson. Guess how much Tanner Anderson I had?
25%.
Nah, not quite. 18, but that's 6x the field.
I was gonna go 20, and I was so close.
Yeah,
I rounded up. I got excited, and I just threw the 5 in there. Why would you stack a Giants home game? Because you're going against 2 pitchers who have gigantic whips. They both give up a bunch of walks and hits, so that would be the reason why.
Yep.
And also, not to speak ill of Sean V, sometimes a game is too obvious where there's something that goes wrong in it, I think is a very baseball thing. And if it seems on paper like, how could these guys go wrong? The way they go wrong is loading up the bases and giving up 1 home run to the guys who have power, or 2 home runs to the guys who have power, or just getting battered around. Because again, both Beede and Young profile as guys who give up a lot of walks and hits. Jake and I are still playing a bunch of them, to be clear, but there are a variety of ways that one goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they're not good pitchers. It's not like these guys can just get out of they first and second with 2 out or with no outs, and they can just strike 3 out in a row. They're not Strasburg. They're not Bueller. I don't even know if Canning you'd really say has that kind of ability. They're average pitchers at best. They're just in good spots for the slate tonight. And if this slate were happening tomorrow and there were 10 more games to talk about, there's no chance you'd be looking to play a lot of these guys. But
yeah, we'd be like, Beede looks real sneaky today. Alex Young, real great strikeout numbers in the minors. Some real downsides, but they're worth the exposure at 5% ownership. Not at like 40 to 50. Not so much. But hey, that's the slate. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button before you head out. Obviously, we're here for you guys. We're somehow filling an hour of content. Us and the Deeper Dive both filling an hour of content on a 4-game slate. So if nothing else, give us a like for that, because that is a Herculean, a Sisyphean task that we're pulling off on a given day. But Jake, any plugs you want to do? The Yahoo show? What do you have going on tomorrow?
Yeah, Yahoo show tomorrow. Then Live Before Lock. Me and you, right?
Yep, me and you.
Okay, and then Saturday I'll be doing the strategy show and the Live Before Lock show as well. So you'll be seeing a lot of me, a lot more of me. 4 shows the next couple days. Tune into that Yahoo show. No Alex, but Josh and I will be talking about how to build for Yahoo. It is the Yahoo Friday themed thing on Osmo.com. So EMAC will have his article out, and I'll do the cheat sheets. Those will be right on the front page of the right on the homepage of the Osmo.com website. Play the night slate, and just wanted to commend you on stretching that out. That was a nice job by you.
Thanks. Oh, speaking of the Yahoo show real fast, one guy who won the free month of Osmo Plus with the 4 corners dong picks, the double dong picks that we're giving away a free month for, he had said he's done really well in the Yahoo tournaments every day since he joined. I think that is a real advantage point. If you are a person trying to build your bankroll, Yahoo is the best chance you have to do that. I think they're advertising on this show today technically, but they're not usually an advertiser of Live Before Lock. I'm saying this just completely on my own. A lot of people do seem to do well with it, and it is an advantage over a lot of the other tournaments that you're going to play out there on DraftKings and FanDuel, where you're playing against a lot of sharper players. Yahoo, not quite so much. The 10 max tournaments also offering a lot of opportunity. So go check that out. Check out Emac's article on the homepage, the Spotlight Stacks article. You want to see a promo code there to get in on Yahoo, get some deposit bonuses and all that. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow doing all sorts of content. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to know when we go live tomorrow with all sorts of content. And we'll be back with you guys again soon. So thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your nights. Good luck.